Well, you would think that after 30-some dogs, I would know how risky it is to bring a dog on stage with me for a speech, but here we are. As a student, I give lots of speeches, and as a furlougher, I have a lot of dogs, so inevitably the two collide. Coons, who's now one of our facility dogs, was at my side for high school, thank you, for my high school graduation, and he did a great job lying still and calm next to me the entire speech. But he made sure before we left the stage to roll over onto his back for the audience to enjoy. Over a year later, I was in a college speech class, and he was again by my side. This time, he was almost 2 years old, and he was nearing graduation. Hi, baby. Thank you. In these speech classes, it's recommended that you use a visual aid. So being a good furlougher, of course I had a dog with me, and decided to use Kuntz as my visual aid. So midway through my speech, I asked him to sit, and he did a beautiful job of sitting, and he held that sit. But what the problem was that Kuntz was a better dog than I was a furlougher at the time, because he remembered he was supposed to hold that sit until I gave him a new cue, and I didn't remember. So I took a step to the side to begin my next point, and Kuntz did not move. So that speech got stopped midway through until I gave him a cue. He walked with me, and we were all good. You know, these situations can be awkward sometimes, but it's those little behavioral changes that I saw between when he was 9 months old and between when he was almost 2 years old that just make being a furlougher worthwhile. Or when they're 4 months old and wiggling all over the place. In animal training, there's a technique called shaping, where you start out by rewarding the dog for a behavior that is remotely close to what you want. And then you get closer and closer to the behavior you actually want by rewarding the dog for doing things that are closer to that behavior. ICAN dogs are shaped over the course of 2 years. As Sean has said many times, if these dogs came to us perfect, they would already be service dogs. You're not perfect. He's really good at making my points. Do you want to give the speech? Because we can do that. So I began raising Cody, this guy, when he was 8 weeks old. He was very cute, but he knew very little about being a service dog. A few days ago, I had 2 people in the space of 1 hour comment and ask me questions about my service dog and comment on how small he is for a lab. Funny thing. If they had seen him browsing the floor for crumbs a few minutes earlier, maybe they wouldn't have said that. But it did remind me that he acts a little bit more like a service dog now than he did 2 months ago. In a couple weeks, he'll enter a men's facility, and in 2 months, as he leaves there for his first 3-week furlough, he'll still be figuring things out, but he'll know more cues, he'll understand the behaviors better, and he'll look more like a service dog than he does now. As a furlougher, I get to see the results as these dogs get closer and closer, bit by bit, to what they're designed to do. And meanwhile, I'm being shaped too. As I mentioned earlier, I've had about 30 dogs, 30 furlough dogs, and can honestly say that no 2 of them have given me the same experience. As someone who's interested in a career related to service dogs, it's been so valuable and honestly just fun to get to problem solve the different approaches that each one needs to succeed. Rather than using a one-size-fits-all approach, helping with so many dogs has let me learn how to be slow and quiet with a timid dog one day, and boisterous and confident with a more confident dog the next. I don't think that I would be speaking here tonight without the opportunities I've been given in the past 5 years. Opportunities helping groups of people learn about ICAN by bringing dogs to events, and daily opportunities as I've been approached by strangers who are just curious about the dogs. That's not a chew toy. A few months ago, I was at my one social event of the year, and they're very rare, and I was dancing with a guy that I didn't know. We were enjoying chatting about the university we both go to, what we're studying, and of course what it means to volunteer with service dogs in training, which is an essential element of conversation. When he asked me, "Hey, do you know your Myers-Briggs temperament type?" That was an interesting conversation starter and a change, but I mentioned that I was an introvert, and I knew that much. And his next question to me was, "Are you drunk?" In that moment, I had to figure out how to break the news to him that 1, I'm underage, there's no chance I was drunk, and 2, I learned to enjoy talking to strangers because of dogs. You see, as a furlougher, I field questions from strangers daily. What type of dog is that? I think it's a lab golden superhero cross. How old is your dog? Somewhere between 8 weeks and 2 years. Honestly, I just picked him up today, I don't know. Or my favorite, can I buy your dog? Make me an offer somewhere above $25,000 and I'll consider it. But one of the most common questions that I'm asked as a furlougher is, how can you bear to give up the dog? Without fail, I can say that it's because I have the hope that the dog's future away from me will be so much better than its future with me. I think that as pet owners, we all have certain hopes for our dogs. We may hope that they stop jumping on us, tipping over the trash can, or leaving those glittery drool streaks on guests. As a furlougher, I have slightly different hopes for the dogs I work with. I hope that the puppy, who just pulled a book off my shelf for the 6th time today, will one day be just as eager to pick up a dropped item for someone in a wheelchair. I hope that the dog who struggles to sit calmly for petting because he is just so excited for the attention will one day relieve the worries of a child struggling at school. I hope that the dog who becomes anxious when I leave the room will one day be so in tune with her person that she can alert him to a low blood sugar long before it is life-threatening. It's easy to become frustrated with the dog's antics or sad when I have to give it up, if all I have in mind is my relationship with the dog. But if I stop and consider the hope of making someone else's life easier or better in any way, all the sleepless nights, the chewed cords, and even disrupted speeches are worth it. Huh, Cody?